Hey guys, MrLuke here and welcome back to another video on my channel. Now, a few days ago I did a bit of a list video. I did the top 10 players I'm most excited for in 2017. It went down really well. I was so shocked with the amount of likes, the amount of people commenting, people saying do more lists, and asking you shall receive. For today's video, I'm going to be going over my favorite players currently, and I say currently because it changes all the time. Right now, you're going to see, actually it's going to be more than 10 players, but those players could be swapped out very easily. And when the 9 start, who knows? It could be some new rookie come on the scene and absolutely kill it. Someone in the list could piss me off, could get in trouble off the field. I mean, if you'd asked me last year, Samuel Raj probably would have been in the list easily, not in there anymore. I should just say before I start going through the list that this is pretty much going off of 2016 because 2017 obviously has the start at the time of recording. No 9s, no nothing. So everything's based off 2016 and those previous years. This top 10 is also not in any particular order as well. So just keep that in mind. Just because I do one player at the start doesn't mean I like him any more than the last person I do. Except if they're Bulldogs players. Speaking of Bulldogs players, I may as well get them done right off the bat because you all know I'm a Bulldogs supporter. I'm going to like pretty much all the players, but I'll just name a few of the favourite players that I have. I've actually got 4 players. Yeah, 4 players. I was going to say 3, but obviously some are twins. So I'll start off with the twins, the 2 Morris twins. Love Josh Morris ever since he came to the club there. And I did like Brett because he was his twin. Even when he was at the Dragons, I really liked him. Plus, their dad was a teacher at my school, so I thought that was really cool. Just to be able to chat with him about the 2 sons. And then when Brett came over, I was just absolutely wrapped. Now, obviously, been injured a fair bit, but what can you do? The injuries happen. They're getting a bit older, but I still love the Morris twins. Josh Reynolds kind of explains himself, to be honest. I feel like actually probably doesn't, because if you're not a Bulldog supporter, you probably don't understand it. I suppose every team's probably got that one little grubby asshole player on their team that everyone else doesn't really like. But when they're on your team, it's totally different. I'm sure Sharks can understand with having Michael Ennis on their team. Probably hated him while he was at the Bulldogs. Loved him when he was on the team. I think that's kind of what I'm saying. It's similar to Josh Reynolds as well. If Reynolds was playing for any other team, stripping people, I'd hate him. But the fact that he's just such a competitor and just has so much passion for the club, I just love it. And I mean, as long as he doesn't kill anybody, I don't think I can stop liking Josh Reynolds. And finally, James Graham. There's actually some others as well, but James Graham is the final player I'm going to talk about. Just loved him ever since he came out in 2012. He's been annoying me a little bit in terms of just, I feel like the captaincy's kind of taken a little away from him, but he's still one of my favourites at the Bulldogs, and still one of the best props in the game, and hopefully for a few more years. Let's hope so. Moving on to the second player. I know I just talked about 4 players, but I'm going to count them as one because they're all Bulldogs. I'm biased. We're going to move on to the second player in my list, and it's Anthony Milford. Now, I think Broncos fans will be absolutely wrapped with that, but I mean, I don't know how you can't like Anthony Milford. He hasn't really done anything off the field too bad that you don't like him. On the field, he's electrifying. He's so good, so fun to watch. I just love him. He's pretty strong for a little small guy. And he's just so good with the ball. He's stepping like all those little steppy guys. You're gonna notice a trend of these sort of players in my favorite players. I think I just really like the sort of style that Milford plays. So yeah, he's just really good, and I like Anthony Milford, and he'll be around for lots of years to come. So expect him to be in my list going forward. Now, the next player I'm going to be talking about is also a 5'8". It's Blake Austin from the Canberra Raiders. Now, I'm a huge fan of Blake Austin on the field, but more importantly, I'm a big fan of him off the field. I know a lot of things get said about Jonathan Thurston, about him giving headgears and that sort of stuff, but like, I feel like Blake Austin is on a whole nother level to everybody in the NRL in terms of doing things for fans and just for people in general off the field. There is an example, like personally, that I know, but I'm not going to say exactly what it was, but it was absolutely incredible. Gonna have to trust me on this one. But yeah, there's so many stories. You can go and find all these different stories of Blake Austin doing things off the field, but he's actually a gun on the field as well. I'm sure you all know already. But yeah, he's just so fun to watch. Kind of similar to Milford. Maybe not as dynamic as Milford, but those running sort of 5'8", I just love him. He's always backing up, scoring a lot of entertaining tries. He's got a pretty good step in him as well. I bloody love Blake Austin. Another Hearts player up next. This time it's not a 5'8", although he did play a little bit of 5'8". I think was it last year or the year before. It's Sean Johnson. He's a halfback, but he played like 4 games at 5'8". Everybody remember that? I don't really. Let's just try and forget that. Let's try and forget that he ever wore the number 6 because it looks so weird. He should be wearing the number 7 all the time. And I think he's an incredible player. When he's on, he's on. Like, I know that can be said for a lot of players, but Sean Johnson is unplayable when he's on. Like, he's fast. He's got that step. he's so good at just playing what's in front of him, but at the same time he also does struggle a little bit. But I think that's more of just a case of the team he plays in. And mate, the team he's going to be playing in this year is absolutely incredible. There's another player on this list who's in that team, but holy shit, that team's going to be great, and he's going to be leading from the front. Don't you worry about that. I may as well mention the other player from the Warriors that I'm talking about. I think you can kind of guess it based off my most excited players 2017 list, and it's Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Obviously last year it was not a good year for Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Injuries and pretty shitty performances when he moved to the Warriors. However, this guy is an absolute freak when he's on, and he usually is on. I don't know what was happening to him last year, but hopefully he's back in form in 2017, because I need to see some more Roger Tuivasa-Sheck montages. They're just awesome. Imagine the montages you can do with just the Warriors team if they fulfill their potential. Moving on to the current New South Wales fullback. Will he remain the fullback? I'm not sure, but it's James Tedesco. Now, he's going to face some tough competition. Jared Hayne, Matt Moen there for the fullback position, but I'd personally keep James Tedesco. I thought he was pretty good, and I think he's just going to be even better this year. He's so damn good. He's so hard to tackle. He has a weird running style. Does tend to get knocked out a fair bit, but in terms of just playing ability, he is so good. And I'd say him or Darius Boyd are the best fullbacks in the world at the moment. I mean, Tuivasa-Sheck's up there, but he's been injured. But yeah, Tedesco, I can't really fault him too much. He's pretty solid all around, and yeah, I just really like him. That try he scored, I think it was against the Storm possibly. He just like ran through the whole team and scored. It was very Hayne-esque from 2009. So yeah, it was just, he's such a good player, and I absolutely love Tedesco. The next player is also a bit of a young gun. Obviously, Tedesco's been around a little bit longer than this guy, but Jack Bird, a premiership winner, and what a game he had in the grand final, playing with the injury. That was absolutely incredible stuff there, and I really like him. Now, I'm the same age as Jack Bird, and I remember back, I don't know, like when I was like 13 or 14, my mate played against him, and like, there was huge raps on him, Drew Hutchison. There was another guy as well, but there was massive raps on them, and it's nice to see someone like who actually had big raps on them when they're younger come through and fulfill that potential. What a great player! Obviously played State of Origin this year, won a premiership. He kind of did it all this year, apart from play for Australia, which he probably would have done if he wasn't injured. But yeah, I really love Jack Bird. He's young, and he seems like a pretty, I don't know, he just kind of has that nice swagger about him without being a total dickhead, if that makes sense. I think that's why I like him a lot. But yeah, Jack Bird, great player, many years to come as well in his career. So he should be on the list for many years. One Canberra Raider player has already made the list. That was Blake Austin. A second one has also made the list. That is Josh Hodgson. Now, there's actually a lot of Canberra Raiders players that I do like. Rapana, Leilua, like Leipana as well. But Josh Hodgson, I just really like him. I don't know if it's because he's English. I have like kind of like a bias towards Englishmen because there's not many in the league. So when some of them do good, like I really like him. But yeah, right from the start when he first signed with the Raiders and he put himself through a wall, I was like, man, this guy, I love him. And I'm glad that he's backed it up because he's been an incredible hooker. I'm a little bit shocked he didn't actually get Hooker of the Year last year. Dally M might have been pushing it. I thought he was a good chance of getting it, but yeah, I couldn't believe he didn't even get Hooker of the Year. But I suppose that's just how it is. But I think we kind of all know that he was probably the best hooker last year. He's just, I don't know, so dynamic. He can score tries, set up tries. He can change a game, which is exactly what you want from your hooker. And yeah, I really like Josh Hodgson. I just talked about England's #1 hooker. We're moving on to Australia's #1 hooker. I'm talking obviously about Cameron Smith here, the Queensland captain, the Australian captain. I can't even really explain exactly why I like him. He does lots of dodgy shit. He does lots of grubby tactics. And yeah, I still like him. Like I don't know, if he maybe wasn't as good as what he was, I probably would hate him. But I don't know, for some reason, I just find him likable off the field or something. I don't really know. I can't even explain it. I just really like Cameron Smith. But that's just all that is to it. I mean, love him or hate him, you got to admit he is probably one of the best players you'll ever see. And I know Thurston gets all the plaudits for being the best player in the world, next to Immortal, but I think Cameron Smith should definitely be an Immortal as well. And the final player on the list is a man I literally just talked about being a future Immortal. It's Jonathan Thurston. I think everybody knows it. I think everybody kind of loves Jonathan Thurston, except for Origin time when when New South Wales supporters obviously don't like him. But even then, there's still a part of me that kind of likes him. But yeah, I don't know. I just really like Jonathan Thurston. Obviously, it absolutely kills me that he left the Bulldogs. We had him at the bloody club and we let him go to keep Braithen Astor and Brent Sherrin, both of them who would piss off a few years later and would be stuck with like Daniel Holdsworth and stuff. And still struggling now. Imagine Thurston in this side right now. He'd turn us into instant contenders. But it is what it is. He went to the Cowboys, made an immediate impact. I think he won the Dalium medal his first year at the Cowboys, so that kind of says everything about him. Just an incredible player, the ultimate competitor, good on and off the field. There's not much more you can say about Thurston other than he's an absolute legend. Definitely, he's 100% going to be an immortal in the future, and it's kind of a privilege that we get to watch him week after week. It's actually really cool. He hasn't really had too many injuries as well, which is nice, but kind of coming into the twilight of his career, we just got to admire him while we can, because he might not be around for much longer. And as a New South Welshman, I'll tell you, it's not a bad thing that he's going to retire. Well, those are the 10 players that are currently my favourite players. I know I did actually more than 10. I did like 13 or 14, I think. But yeah, those are my current favourite players. Make sure you leave in the comment section below some of your current favourite players. In fact, you can go retro if you want. You can go back in time. You can pick some players of the past. You can pick players who have moved codes or something. I don't really mind. I'd just love to see. I'd really love to see if there's any players who are kind of in everyone's list. I feel like a player like Jonathan Thurston and Sean Johnson might be in everyone's list. But yeah, make sure you do that. Make sure you also hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new around here. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's MrLuke on YT. My Facebook page is in the description below. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys. Thank God for fans and air conditioning, because it's like 40 degrees outside.